Hi, this is Charlie Mato-Toyela with Bear Flutes. Of course, all of you have probably seen our Instagram and our Facebook under the same name at this point, hopefully, and occasionally a little tweet once in a while. We make videos on making Native American and indigenous flutes and musical instruments. And this time we came out to what is usually sunny California. I think they've got some storm brewing out in the Pacific, but it's a beautiful, beautiful place. We've actually had a great time visiting here. We actually came to California to visit one of our favorite bands in the whole world, an upcoming kind of heavy metal rock, I don't know what to call them, very ethnic sounding Mongolian band from Mongolia called The Who, and that was a lot of fun. We also have a customer, well actually we've got thousands of customers in California, but we had one that had contacted us recently that needed a little bit of help and some instructions on playing the flute. So we usually try to kill two birds with one stone, as they say, and so we came out here to visit and make a few videos, as well as meet and see our favorite band in the whole world. And right now, standing at Huntington Beach, our concert was in Santa Ana, customer in LA. We've seen quite a bit of the lower end here of the state and are looking forward to visiting the rest. So come on and check out what we got to do. So we're here, and Janera's got a few questions for us about playing the Native American flute, and I'm going to go through a couple of techniques to kind of help out. As we were talking, you had wanted to learn to play this instrument so that you could take it back home to Puerto Rico, where your family is from, and so that you could play a little something there at your family's homeland. And I think that's a great thing to do. And as I know, I've told you and I've told everyone, this instrument has got to be the easiest instrument in the whole world to ever learn how to play. There's only 5 holes, and most people who make, like your other flute that you have that's made out of walnut, has a 6-hole with that piece of leather tied around it. It's still really basically a 5-hole flute. So we're here with Janera. As I had mentioned, we wanted to come and visit one of our customers here who was interested in learning a little bit more about how to play the flute, because she wants to go back to Puerto Rico and visit where her family's buried in some of their homelands and play some music there for them, which is going to be absolutely amazing, and something I think this instrument is made perfect for such a thing. As I told you, the Native American flute is probably the easiest instrument in the world to ever learn to play. All you have to do is learn how to play those 5 holes, and that's it. And like your other walnut flute, not this one, one of ours, but the other one that you have, it has that extra hole there, but it's covered up with some leather. So you have basically a 5-hole flute for more or less, that's basically what you have. It's only these 5 holes. That's all you have to learn. So if you can learn to play those 5 notes, this is actually the 6th note, but it's an octave of the bottom note. So it's the same. They're the same note, they're just a step, an octave apart. If you can learn to play those notes, just covering all the holes, if you can do that, you are beyond what you need to be able to play this instrument. Very simple. The first thing you want to practice is how to control your air coming out. So as we talked, a little bit of air makes a soft, kind of a quiet note, and a lot of air will make a little bit louder note. But there are things you can do with the air, like how you articulate some of the notes. That actually is quite important as well. So. So that was actually me allowing the note to die off on purpose. So I'm allowing it to run kind of out of air. And if you heard that vibrato that I played, that you've asked me a couple of times about how to get the vibrato, I do vibrato by my diaphragm. I'm just basically going. So I'm controlling the air pressure with my diaphragm, with my stomach, a little bit with my chest, and it's basically a little bit faster and slower streams of air just kind of alternating there. So you can do a fast vibrato or slow one, or one that's not even really a vibrato, but it's just kind of like, which is basically the same thing. It's just a different technique. And that brings me to something else we've talked about, is the different techniques that you can play. Some flute players, just like you have so far, have only mastered the scale. They only know how to play. And the real key to being able to make that sound nice is technique. Technique is comprised of a lot of different ideas and things that you can do. It's controlling the air pressure, it's a vibrato, it's how you articulate each note. As I mentioned to you, you can articulate the notes by going ta, 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 and that's where you're starting the note with a T sound, ta, like that, but you're stopping the note. Ta, ta. You're actually stopping the air pressure coming out of your mouth, so it's like, just like that. So that's a ta, ta, ta as they sound in flute or in really any type of wind instrument. That's a technique that they call ta, ta, ta. The one that they call da, 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 another tonguing technique, I really don't like to call it that. I like to say that that's like a start and not stop articulating. So I'm starting the note, but I'm not stopping the note. So I continue with the air pressure, keep blowing the same amount of air, but I start each note with a ta, ta, ta. So. And then the other technique we talked about, and this is just 3 really simple little tonguing techniques or articulating techniques. This one's where you don't actually articulate any notes, you just play all the way through. And really, if I did those 3 techniques up and down the scale, maybe throw in a little vibrato, and change the lengths of the notes. That's the other important thing, is how long the notes are. I'll never forget an event that I was performing in, and a couple of old ladies were sitting in the front row, and they said, "We love to hear you play, but could you play a little longer?" And I said, "Yeah, I'll be glad to play for a little longer." She says, "No, I don't think you understand me. I want you to play the notes longer." And I'm like, "Okay." And this was back when I was in my teens still, and she really helped me remember that, and all the way today. To playing some notes longer and some notes shorter. You got a question?
Yes. So when I'm practicing, sometimes I lose my breath, right?
Right.
Is that a good moment to take a pause?
Absolutely. That's absolutely.
And you know, I'm noticing also, because I listen to the music a lot, like the pauses make it feel very serene.
Right, exactly.
It gives you the ability to kind of like hold on to that feeling.
That's right. And like you said, that's the perfect time to take a breath.
Yeah.
Learning to hide those breaths behind things like that, that's an advanced technique, and that's what it takes to play, and for people to enjoy playing and hearing you play. So that's good. So I'll do those, and then I'll show you, I'll make a real drastic stop where I take my breaths out, because normally people, even when I'm talking, I know our YouTube fans always say, "You never stop talking." So I can go on and on because you don't hear me take my breaths. So. So you heard me take that breath there. I stopped long enough that you could hear it, but otherwise. So I just take a really quick gasp of breath, whether it be through my nose, the way that people have, most traditionalists breathe through their nose, or if it's through my mouth. It's just a really quick breath, and so that's part of the way that I hide it. The other way that I hide it, like I said, just really, as you said, I take those dramatic pauses, and that makes your audience think at the time that you do that. They think, what is he going to do next? Or what is she going to, this has been great so far. I can't wait to see what that's going to be. And it's just a brief second that you're pausing, but it's an excellent opportunity. So I did some things a little different that time. I didn't just play up and down the scale. I actually skipped some notes. So watch. So I skipped some notes on the way up, I skipped some notes on the way down, and I actually, when I got to this one, I went up and down. So there's so many different techniques, and these things are what it takes to really master playing this beautiful and very simple instrument, and really that's where you go next. So any other questions before we
Yes.
conclude this? Yep.
The slide.
The slide, yeah. Now you can slide on any of those fingerings. You
It
can
doesn't
slide.
matter what finger.
Doesn't
That
matter
doesn't
what
make a
finger.
difference.
The only thing that does matter is you don't want to slide over a finger down here when these fingers are uncovered,
Okay.
because that's not exactly in your scale that you've been learning.
Okay.
Later on, you can learn to play the flute and use a whole plethora of additional notes. But the scale that you need, those are the only notes you need. So make sure that if you're sliding, like right here, that you're covering up the next note or the next fingering that needs to be covered. You can even cover up two at the same time.
So it really is just a simple.
Yes, it's simple. The thing about it is, each different note, because it'll cause it to jump to another note, each different note requires you to slide your finger at a different rate. So this bottom one, for example, you've got to be kind of slow at first and then kind of quick. But that's really getting where I'm micromanaging my thought process here. Because you don't want to get hung up playing halfway in there and people are like, what is she doing?
So that's all in one breath?
One other thing that we used to do when I was in high school band, some of us did some crazy things. We used to count each other. We would stopwatch how long we could hold our breath for. And I had one guy I used to do band with that could hold his breath for a phenomenal amount of time. He turned every color you could imagine in the process. But we used to practice playing notes longer and longer. And you don't have to play all the notes, just play one.
Okay.
I could really go on.
Wow,
I feel my eyes.
that.
My eyes are drying out while I'm doing that. But anyway, if you practice that, one of our other customers who actually lives in California here, he had lost a lung. I think it was asbestosis. We've had lengthy phone conversations. A really great guy. He had lost a lung, and he has to go back for therapy or at least a checkup pretty regularly, about every 6 months or so. And every time he goes, his doctor says, I don't know what you're doing, but just keep doing it, because he plays the flute every day.
Wow.
So the more you play, the stronger your lung capacity is going to get. But the real key, something that I mentioned in my How to Play the Flute book, which is about to release, is I talk about sitting up straight, which is, that's a terrible habit. You're doing fine. I wasn't one slouching. But sitting up straight and breathing, preferably through your nose when you can. I'm kind of congested right now, so not me, but breathe in, fill up as much of your lung as you can. So if you feel like that's a lot of air, you can probably go just a little further. And the more you practice that, the larger lung capacity you get. And like I said, I played brass instruments through high school. I was pretty well known for having a large lung capacity, and today I can go on and on, right? So camera lady is trying not to smile back there. But anyway, so I think that's a good place for you to start. Primarily, you need to focus on just breathing and playing, because in our daily life, we don't practice breathing.
Right.
And most of us breathe really shallow.
As a yogi, we do.
Right, exactly.
Right.
But most people on the street just breathe really shallow, and that's just really not the best way to accomplish what it is that our lungs and our sinuses and our the pathway from one to the other, and really what the whole deal about breathing is about. And that's why some people are using oxygen, because they don't get enough air.
Right.
And if you practice now, that who's to say that wouldn't help you in the future?
Right.
So, but,
also,
yeah.
I have another question. I think I read somewhere that you should only practice the flute 15 to 20 minutes at a time.
I really appreciate you bringing that up, and I should have mentioned before we come out here to make this video for you to ask me that, but I didn't. And I'm kind of shocked that you heard this, but I'm glad that you did. I have had countless people come to me and ask me that same question, and I have tried to explain to them day in and day out. That is the opinion of one or two or a group of flute makers. They are telling people this and trying to promote this because of a problem with flute playing. The flutes tend to do something we call wet out. Wetting out is when the moisture from your breath collects inside of here and it starts gurgling underneath of the flute. You and I have been playing since I've gotten here. We've been playing at least for 30 or 45 minutes and haven't cleaned this out.
Right.
So, no, you don't have to quit after 15 minutes.
Okay.
Please don't quit after 15 minutes. If the flute has a problem to where it's starting to collect too much water and it's wetting out,
how would you know that?
it'll start making a gurgly sound.
Oh, okay.
It's like
Okay. Yeah.
It's
Okay.
exactly what it sounds like.
Okay.
One thing you can do is you can put your finger over the hole and blow
out. Okay.
really fast, and that'll shoot a lot of it out. Another thing you can do with ours and a lot of other people's flutes is you can uncover the sound hole and the air supply hole
Okay.
and blow a lot of it out. But mine, I'm looking in there, there's no moisture in there at all.
Nothing at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a few reasons why flutes wet out, but most of them are the flute player. I mean, regardless, it's our fault one way or the other, but there are some mechanical things that people do in making flutes that may cause them to be more prone to wetting out than others. I've heard from people day in and day out that our flutes don't wet out, and that's because they're so accustomed to playing other flutes that do. One of the things that I don't do, this is one of my favorite flutes that I made mostly for a showpiece.
It's so light.
You know,
The finishing is.
the finish on that one is lacquer, and I don't normally lacquer flutes. It's just against what I do. Like this one's a natural
Yeah, I can
oil
see
finish.
that, yeah.
It looks more like a piece of wood,
Yeah, it
and it
does.
also causes the sound to be a little bit better, in my opinion.
You said that this is made out of.
The oil that we put on it is tea tree, peppermint, and either sunflower or mineral oil.
Okay.
And those actually help to protect it from a number of things. Drying out for one thing, but bacterial growth and anything like that. But when you have a flute that's been naturally finished, it is less likely to wet out, in my opinion, than one that's been lacquered, because the lacquer tends to, the pores on the lacquer tend to do something slightly different with the water than the natural finished flute does. So, like I said, that was made for a showpiece and really for me to be on concert stage and stuff with. But I don't own any other lacquered flutes. I don't think I have a single one except for that one. And I used to make lacquered flutes, but I've quit doing that. I only make things that are natural and good for the environment, good for the people.
That's awesome.
You know.
I love that.
Anyway, do you have any other questions? I know you probably have a million, but we've been corresponding. So.
No, you've been amazing.
Oh,
thank you both
I appreciate
for
that.
this moment. It's special to me.
Oh, thank you. Well, I
You
wish
guys
you
are
luck.
awesome.
Wish you luck in your travels, and certainly
Thank
a great time visiting family and going back to the homeland. I visit a number of other countries, and my wife and I have been really thinking about traveling to Puerto Rico for some time.
Please,
So
you
hopefully we
guys.
will. We know a good handful of people there. So.
Yeah, and I will let you know. I mean, I go all the time because it's my favorite place on earth.
Yeah,
And
that's kind of
but
me in Teotihuacan.
Now you guys have a friend
Excellent.
in Los Angeles.
Excellent. Thank you.
So
Thank you.
whenever you guys come back this way to Southern California, Janera's here to,
Oh, fantastic.
you
Thank
know, bear gifts.
Thank you. Well, I appreciate that.
Thank
Thanks so
you.
much for your
Thank you.
hospitality.
Of course.
And don't forget, we have hundreds of other videos on making and playing Native American flutes, and a series of specific videos on playing the Native American flute in under 10 minutes, which are little snippets and tricks on how to play the flute. And as I mentioned, kind of a little brief Easter egg in here, we do have a flute playing book coming out very soon that will rival all flute playing books in the world. So I hope so anyway. Once again, this is Charlie Mato-Toyela signing out for Blue Bear Flutes in Generic. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you very soon.
You know?
Yes, yes, yes.
Maybe European flute and father.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Same thing with this.
Yeah.
Is,
6-hole.
original. Yes. We make 4, 5, and 6-hole flutes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Woo. Pick low.
That's great. Thank you. You like that one? You like it?
Yeah.
You want it?
Yeah.
Okay. It's for you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, man.
So we make traditional Native American whistles and flutes.
Yeah.
So I hear the eagle sound in your video.
Uh-huh.
I brought some for everybody. So this is an eagle whistle.
Wow.
That one's for you.
Oh, thank you.
And this is like the one I play, the small whistle. One more eagle whistle. So what? You put your hands on it like this. You cover like this. Yeah. Thank you guys for your music. It's wonderful. Really great stuff.
Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Andy.
Yes, thank you.